called 55 Cancri. It's the 55 brightest star, easy for me to say, 55th brightest star in Cancer the Crab. And let's go visit that system. It's only 40 light years away, so take our projector just a moment to take us out there. And as we zoom in on the 55 Cancri system, we find a star at the center, not too different from our own sun in size and temperature, and 5 planets orbiting around it. The outer planets are way too cold for life like ours to survive. The inner 3 planets are way too close to the star and way too hot. The center planet's though pretty interesting. It's a huge, dense ball of carbon, known as a super-Earth. It's about 3 times the size of the planet we're sitting on right now. And it orbits around the star, 55 Cancri, once every 17 and a half hours. Well, once every 18 hours. And that dense lump of carbon is essentially a huge orbiting diamond, dully glowing red from the heat of orbiting around the star so closely. Can you imagine what you would get as a payday from a 3 times the size of Earth diamond if you could bring it back? Well, wonder no further, because we actually figured out the number. A 3 times the size of Earth diamond is $26.9 million on the current diamond market. That's a 26.9 with 30 zeros after it. And another way to put it, if you get paid off by your bank teller in $1 bills, that's a stack of $1 bills that climbs right past your head, right out of the roof of the bank, up into the sky, out of the Earth's atmosphere, and halfway to the planet Venus. $26.9 million. An actual number with a lot of zeros. I'd like to remind you, gentlemen, Mother's Day coming up in May. So it's only 40 light years away. Get to it. Very impressive for Mom to have a giant diamond 3 times the size of Earth. All throughout the night, of course, the Earth is always turning, and we spin remarkably fast, nearly 1,000 miles an hour towards the east. We don't feel the motion, of course, because gravity is the overwhelming force pulling down at our feet. We can certainly see that motion just a few hours of watching the nighttime sky. And as the hours pass during the night, our spring stars culminate and then drift off toward the western part of the sky. And an all-new vista of stars starts to appear just before sunrise. We start to see the summertime constellations. And look over your left shoulder at the beautiful band of the summer Milky Way coming up in the sky. Much more dense and much more prominent than we saw with the winter version of the Milky Way at the top of our program when we first entered these pristine dark skies. But as we get to the hours just before sunrise, we didn't leave you early risers out of the equation. Check out some of the things you can try. High overhead are the 7 stars of the Big Dipper. And you can use the Dipper stars to find a very prominent star in our springtime sky. All you have to do is just follow this simple saying. You use the curve of the Dipper handle and you follow the arc to the reddest star, Arcturus. That's the brightest star in the constellation of Boötes, the herdsman. A herdsman is one that drives a team of oxen. It's another one of those constellations, too, that doesn't look very much like what it's portrayed to be. But you can easily find the star Arcturus by following the arc from the Dipper handle. That'll always take you there. Brightest star north of the celestial equator, too, so it's quite the standout. And if you want to get really fancy on these spring nights, not only can you follow the arc to Arcturus, but then you can speed on to Spica, the brightest star in Virgo, that we saw earlier, now setting in the wee hours just before sunrise, setting down in the southwest. So if you catch it a little earlier, you can do that in a little more convenient hours. But both of these groups of stars, Virgo and Boötes, will be rising earlier and earlier as we get deeper and deeper into the spring. So try that mnemonic device as well the next time you're outside and find two of the most prominent stars of springtime. Let's check out our summer stars that have poked up into the sky. These groups of stars will be due south right when it gets dark on the first night of summer. But right now they're just coming into the sky in the early morning hours. Libra, the scales, featuring two prominent stars with two very interesting, somewhat difficult to pronounce names. Zubin-Eshmali on the top and Zubin-el-Nubi on the bottom. They're Arabic-derived names that roughly translate to Northern Claw and Southern Claw. Now they're part of Libra. There aren't any claws and scales that I'm aware of, but look at the adjoining constellation. Scorpius the Scorpion, it certainly has claws, and it happens to have a northern claw and a southern claw too. Back before those official boundaries of the constellations we showed you at the beginning, there wasn't a constellation of Libra. The constellation of Scorpius extended about 15 degrees farther west than it does today. So the northern claw extended right to this star, and the southern claw to the bottom one, which, by the way, is a lovely double star that you can see in just a pair of binoculars. You'll see a gold star and a little blue star right next to each other. So even though they're part of Libra today, they still bear the name Northern Claw and Southern Claw, Zubin-Eshmali and Zubin-el-Nubi, to commemorate a time when the sky was a little less organized than it is today. So a little fun part of sky trivia there. Just off the Scorpion's tail, we find the teapot of summer, another asterism to look for. The trees are just starting to bud, so you still got a couple of weeks before the leaves start growing to the point where you won't see this asterism between the branches, but right now you still can. It's also known as the teapot of Sagittarius, but it's much easier to track that teapot than an entire bow-wielding centaur there. And all three of these star patterns, as I said, will be due south, right where they are now, at about 9:30 p.m. on the first night of summer. One more summer grouping right above us. Let's get to just about 5:30. The sky is just about to start brightening. And a summer grouping known as the summer triangle is right off your left shoulder, about halfway up in the sky. This will be directly over your house at local midnight on the first night of summer. And it's just a little bit awkwardly positioned from the other three constellations we were looking at. But you find all three of those bright stars at the points in three summer constellations. Lyra the Harp, Cygnus the Swan, and on the south end Aquila the Eagle. So you can even catch 3 seasons of stars during the overnight hours now in spring as our daylight hours begin to expand. We will eventually lose this and be down to just 2 seasons of stars during the overnight period with almost 15 hours of bright sunshine. But we've been up the entire night together looking at those overnight sights that you yourselves can spy from your own favorite place to view the nighttime sky. We hope we inspired you at least a little bit to get out into the real sky soon and take a look at some of these wonders in the days ahead. That's all we have for Skywatch Live, the springtime edition right now. You've been a great audience. If you have any questions, I'll be in our control console right next to the doors you came in. Thanks for visiting with us and enjoy the rest of your day here at the Adler Planetarium. Thanks a lot.